A single act of kindness changed her life forever. When 12-year-old Emily paid for an old man's groceries, she never imagined what would happen next. Days later, she received a shocking phone call. Her small gesture had caught the attention of a powerful philanthropist who wanted to change her life in return. In an instant, she was offered a scholarship to one of the best schools in the country, setting her on a path she never dreamed possible. Years later, she returned the favor, creating a foundation to help others just like her. And the man she once helped? He watched proudly as she changed the lives of thousands. It all started with a single moment of generosity. If you love stories like this, comment below where you're watching from. Support us by liking and subscribing to our channel. The late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the small town of Fairview as Emily Carter and her mother, Susan, made their way through the local grocery store. The aisles bustled with shoppers grabbing last-minute dinner ingredients, and the air carried the scent of fresh bread from the bakery. The store had always been a familiar place for Emily, a space filled with warm memories of weekend grocery runs with her parents. At 12 years old, she was at that in-between age, young enough to be full of wonder but old enough to notice the struggles around her. As they approached the checkout lane, Emily's gaze landed on the elderly man standing ahead of them. His frail frame was wrapped in an old, worn-out brown coat, and his hands trembled slightly as he rummaged through his pockets. His cart was modest, carrying only a few essentials: bread, milk, canned soup, and a small bag of apples. He pulled out a handful of coins and a few crumpled dollar bills, carefully placing them on the counter as the cashier rang up his items. Emily's heart tightened when she saw the cashier pause, glancing up at the old man with an apologetic look. "Sir, I'm sorry, but you're a little short," she said gently. The old man, who had introduced himself earlier to the cashier as Mr. Thompson, let out a weary sigh. He rubbed his temples before hesitantly reaching for the loaf of bread. "I suppose I can do without this," he muttered, his voice carrying a quiet resignation. Emily's chest tightened. She had seen people struggle before, but something about Mr. Thompson's expression, a mix of quiet dignity and sadness, made her heart ache. Without thinking, she turned to her mother and whispered, "Can I help him?" Susan, a woman who had always taught Emily the value of kindness, gave her daughter an encouraging smile and nodded. Emily took a deep breath, stepped forward, and gently placed her own allowance money on the counter. "Sir, I'd like to pay for your groceries," she said softly, looking up at him with earnest eyes. Mr. Thompson turned to her, his eyes widening in surprise. For a moment, he seemed unsure of what to say. His weathered face, lined with years of hardship, softened as his lips quivered. "Child, that's very generous of you," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "But I couldn't possibly." "Please," Emily insisted, her voice filled with sincerity. "I want to." The cashier, touched by the moment, nodded and completed the transaction. The small act of kindness had not gone unnoticed. Other shoppers had begun watching, their faces filled with admiration. Some exchanged knowing smiles, while others murmured about how rare it was to see such selflessness in someone so young. Mr. Thompson took a shaky breath as he picked up his bag of groceries. His hands trembled, but not from weakness, from emotion. He looked at Emily with tear-filled eyes. "Thank you, young lady," he said, his voice thick with gratitude. "You have a kind heart." Emily smiled. "It's nothing really. I just wanted to help." Mr. Thompson hesitated for a moment before asking, "What's your name?" "Emily," she answered. "Emily Carter," her mother added with pride. Mr. Thompson nodded as if committing it to memory. "Emily Carter, you are a special young lady. You may not realize it now, but kindness like yours has a way of coming back to you." Emily tilted her head, not entirely understanding what he meant, but she simply smiled and nodded. Mr. Thompson gave her one last grateful look before heading toward the exit, his steps a little lighter than before. As Emily and her mother left the store, Susan placed a gentle hand on her daughter's shoulder. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart," she said. "What you did today, it mattered. Emily glanced back at the store's entrance, where Mr. Thompson had just walked out. She didn't know what life had in store for him, but she hoped, in some small way, that her kindness had made a difference. What she didn't realize was that this simple act would soon set off a chain of events that would change her life forever. That evening, Emily Carter sat at the dinner table with her parents, Susan and David, the warmth of the meal contrasting with the swirling thoughts in her mind. She couldn't stop thinking about Mr. Thompson, the frail yet dignified man who had struggled to pay for his groceries. His teary eyes, the way his hands trembled when she handed the money over, it was something she would never forget. Her mother placed a comforting hand over Emily's. "I'm proud of you, sweetheart," she said. "Not everyone would have stepped up the way you did." David nodded, setting his fork down. "What you did today showed real character, Emily. It wasn't just about money. It was about treating someone with dignity and kindness." Emily smiled, though she wasn't entirely sure why she felt so emotional about the whole thing. She had only wanted to help, but there was something about Mr. Thompson that made her feel like it had meant more than just an everyday good deed. Later that night, she lay in bed staring at the ceiling, wondering if she would ever see him again. Had he made it home safely? Was he eating the dinner she helped him buy? Did he live alone? So many questions ran through her mind until sleep finally claimed her. The next day, as Emily and her mother walked through town on their way to the library, they spotted Mr. Thompson sitting on a wooden bench outside a small cafe. He was carefully unwrapping a sandwich, taking small bites as he gazed into the distance. Emily felt an urge to check on him, and with her mother's encouragement, she walked up to him. "Mr. Thompson?" she said softly. The elderly man looked up, his face lighting up as recognition dawned. "Emily! What a pleasant surprise." Emily sat beside him, swinging her feet slightly. "How are you? I was thinking about you last night. Did you get home okay?" A warm smile spread across Mr. Thompson's face. "I did, thanks to you. You helped me more than you know." He paused for a moment, glancing down at his hands. "My wife, Margaret, passed away a few years ago. Since then, things haven't been easy. We were both teachers, but life after retirement wasn't as comfortable as we expected." He sighed. "Yesterday was one of those days where I wasn't sure if I'd have enough to get by." Emily's heart ached for him. She had never thought about what it was like to be alone, to lose someone who had been by your side for so many years. "I'm really sorry, Mr. Thompson," she said sincerely. "I wish I could do more." He chuckled softly. "You've already done plenty, young lady." They sat in silence for a moment before he reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a worn, folded piece of paper. He handed it to her with a careful hand. "This," he said, "was written by one of my students many years ago. I used to teach high school literature. This student was struggling, much like I am now. But someone believed in him, and he went on to do great things. I want you to have this because what you did for me reminded me of that lesson." Emily carefully unfolded the paper and read the faded words. The smallest acts of kindness often mean the most. One moment, one person, one gesture, it can change a life forever. She looked up at him, her eyes wide. "This is beautiful." Mr. Thompson nodded. "It's something I've carried with me for years. And now, I want you to carry it forward." Emily felt an odd sense of responsibility as she held the paper close. It was as if Mr. Thompson was passing on a legacy of kindness, and she had become part of a much bigger story. Over the next few days, Emily and Mr. Thompson developed a bond. Every time she walked through town, she looked for him, sometimes finding him at the same cafe or sitting in the park. She would bring him small treats, freshly baked cookies, an extra sandwich her mother packed, or a hot cup of tea when the weather was chilly. In return, Mr. Thompson shared stories from his teaching days, telling her about students who had overcome adversity to achieve great things. One afternoon, as they sat on a bench watching the autumn leaves fall, Mr. Thompson said, "You know, Emily, kindness is like a ripple in a pond. It starts small, but it spreads in ways you can't even imagine." Emily thought about that for a long time. She liked the idea that her small act could somehow grow into something bigger. She wanted to believe that kindness had a way of coming full circle. Then, just a few days later, something unexpected happened. Emily was sitting in the living room, working on her math homework, when the house phone rang. Her mother answered, and after a brief exchange, she turned toward Emily with wide eyes. "Honey, it's for you," she said, handing her the phone. Emily hesitated before taking it. "Hello." A deep, warm voice greeted her. "Hello, Emily. This is Mr. Thompson. I hope you remember me." Emily's face broke into a grin. "Of course. How are you?" "I'm well, my dear, but I have something important to tell you," he said, his voice carrying a hint of excitement. "You see, I was a teacher for many years, and I had the privilege of knowing some incredible people. One of them is an old friend of mine, Mr. Reynolds. He runs a scholarship program for promising students, and after I told him about you, he asked to meet you." Emily's heart skipped a beat. "Meet me? But why?" "Because," Mr. Thompson said kindly, "people like you deserve to have doors opened for them." Emily could hardly believe what she was hearing. She had helped him simply because it was the right thing to do. Never in a million years did she expect anything in return. As she hung up the phone and turned to her parents, she saw the proud expressions on their faces. Her mother hugged her tightly. "See, sweetheart? Kindness always finds a way back." That night, as she lay in bed staring at the ceiling once again, she thought about how everything had unfolded, how a simple moment at the grocery store had led to something so much bigger. She still didn't know exactly what meeting Mr. Reynolds would mean, but she felt something stirring inside her. Maybe kindness really was a ripple. Maybe it really could change lives. And maybe, just maybe, this was only the beginning of something extraordinary. A few days later, Emily was preparing to meet Mr. Reynolds, still unsure of what to expect. The excitement of the unknown buzzed in her chest, but at the same time, she couldn't shake the feeling that her life was about to change forever. Her parents had encouraged her to go with an open heart and mind. "Just be yourself," her mother reassured her. "Mr. Thompson sees something special in you, and I'm sure Mr. Reynolds will too." Dressed in a modest yet neat outfit, Emily stepped into the small office building where Mr. Reynolds had invited her. The secretary, a friendly woman with graying hair, greeted her warmly. "You must be Emily," she said. "Mr. Reynolds is expecting you." As she was led into a spacious office, she saw a man in his 60s standing by the window, gazing out at the city below. He turned at the sound of her entrance, his deep blue eyes assessing her with quiet kindness. "Emily Carter," he said, extending his hand. "I've heard quite a bit about you." Emily shook his hand, still feeling a bit unsure. "It's nice to meet you, sir." Mr. Reynolds motioned for her to sit. "Mr. Thompson speaks very highly of you. He told me about what you did for him that day in the grocery store." Emily blushed slightly. "I just wanted to help." "That's exactly why we're here," Mr. Reynolds said with a smile. "You see, I run a program for students with potential, young people who show kindness, integrity, and a strong work ethic. We provide scholarships, mentorship, and opportunities to those who might not otherwise have them." Emily's eyes widened. "A scholarship?" Mr. Reynolds nodded. "Yes, and Mr. Thompson believes you're an excellent candidate." Emily was speechless. Never had she imagined that one small act of kindness could lead to something so life-changing. I don't know what to say." Mr. Reynolds leaned forward, his expression serious but warm. "Tell me about yourself, Emily. What are your dreams? What do you want for your future?" Emily hesitated, then took a deep breath. "I love learning, and I've always wanted to do something that makes a difference. Maybe teaching, like Mr. Thompson, or something in social work where I can help people." Mr. Reynolds smiled. "That's exactly the kind of heart we look for in our scholarship recipients. It's not just about academics, Emily, it's about the impact you want to make in the world." He handed her a folder. "This contains all the details about the program. If you're interested, we'd like to start the process of bringing you into our mentorship and scholarship initiative." Emily's hands trembled slightly as she took the folder. "Thank you, Mr. Reynolds. I don't know how to thank you enough." "Just keep being who you are," he said with a smile. "And remember, kindness has a way of coming full circle." As Emily left the office, she felt a newfound sense of purpose. Her small act of kindness had set something in motion that she never could have predicted. She couldn't wait to tell Mr. Thompson the news and thank him for believing in her. That evening, as she sat at the dinner table with her parents, she shared everything about the meeting. Her mother wiped away tears of pride, and her father beamed with joy. "You deserve this, Emily," he said. "You've always had a heart for others." The next day, Emily rushed to the park, hoping to find Mr. Thompson on his usual bench. When she spotted him, she ran up and hugged him tightly. "Mr. Thompson, I have something to tell you." He chuckled, surprised but pleased. "Well now, what is it?" She sat down beside him and told him everything. As she spoke, his eyes shone with pride. "I knew it," he said. "I knew you were meant for something special." Emily took his hand in hers. "This is because of you. You saw something in me before I even saw it myself." Mr. Thompson shook his head. "No, my dear. This is because of you. You made a choice, to be kind when you didn't have to be. And look where it's led you." Emily smiled, feeling warmth spread through her chest. She knew that this was just the beginning of an incredible journey, one that would take her to places she never imagined. But no matter where she went, she would always remember the lesson Mr. Thompson had taught her, that even the smallest act of kindness could change a life forever. Emily woke up the next morning feeling a mix of excitement and nervousness. The scholarship opportunity was a dream she had never dared to imagine, and now it was within reach. As she got ready for the day, she carefully placed Mr. Thompson's note, the one with the lesson about kindness, in her backpack. It had become a symbol of everything that had happened in the past few weeks, and she wanted to carry it with her as a reminder. At breakfast, her parents sat with her, their faces filled with pride. "Are you ready for your first meeting with the scholarship committee?" her father asked, sipping his coffee. Emily nodded. "I think so. But I'm a little nervous." Her mother reached out, squeezing her hand. "Just be yourself. They already see the good in you. Now, show them what you're capable of." With that encouragement, Emily left for the scholarship office. As she walked, she thought about how different her life had felt just a few weeks ago. She had been an ordinary girl, living an ordinary life. But now, she had a purpose, a chance to do something bigger than herself. When she arrived at the office, she was greeted warmly by Mr. Reynolds. "Emily, it's good to see you again." "Thank you for having me," she said politely, following him into a conference room where 3 other individuals sat waiting. "This is the scholarship board," Mr. Reynolds introduced. "They'll be getting to know you today." Emily took a seat, her hands neatly folded in her lap. The board members smiled at her, their expressions kind but observant. The woman in the middle, Mrs. Taylor, leaned forward. "Emily, we've read about your story, and we're impressed with your kindness and humility. But tell us, what does this opportunity mean to you?" Emily took a deep breath. "It means everything. Not just because of what it can do for my future, but because it represents the power of kindness. I didn't help Mr. Thompson expecting anything in return, I just did what felt right. But that one moment changed both of our lives. It made me realize that small acts of kindness can create ripples, and I want to spend my life making those ripples." The board members nodded in approval. Mr. Reynolds smiled proudly. "That's exactly what we hoped to hear." After a few more questions, the meeting ended. As Emily stepped outside, she felt relief wash over her. She had spoken from the heart, and no matter what happened, she knew she had done her best. Later that day, she met up with Mr. Thompson at the park, eager to tell him how it had gone. When she found him sitting on his usual bench, she sat beside him with a bright smile. "I had the meeting today," she announced. "I think it went well." Mr. Thompson chuckled. "I never doubted it would. You have a way of touching people's hearts, Emily." She hesitated for a moment before pulling out the note he had given her. "I keep this with me all the time," she said. "It reminds me that even the smallest act of kindness can change a life." The old man's eyes softened. "That lesson changed my life too many years ago. And now you're carrying it forward." Just then, Emily's phone buzzed. She glanced at the screen and saw an email notification from Mr. Reynolds' office. Her heart pounded as she opened it, her eyes scanning the words quickly. Then she gasped. "I got it," she whispered. Then louder, "I got it." Mr. Thompson beamed. "Congratulations, Emily." Tears welled in her eyes as she turned to him. "This happened because of you." He shook his head with a smile. "No, my dear. This happened because of who you are." As Emily sat there, overwhelmed with joy, she realized something. This was only the beginning of a much bigger journey. And she would carry this lesson with her every step of the way. The days following Emily's acceptance into the scholarship program were a whirlwind of emotions. Her parents were overjoyed, and her friends at school were proud of her accomplishment. However, as the reality of this new chapter settled in, Emily began to feel a mix of excitement and apprehension. One afternoon, she sat with her mother at the kitchen table, staring at the acceptance letter. "Mom, what if I'm not good enough?" she asked hesitantly. Her mother reached across the table and took her hand. "Emily, you earned this. You didn't get here by accident. Your kindness, your hard work, it all led to this moment. You just have to believe in yourself as much as we do." Emily nodded, taking a deep breath. She knew her mother was right, but self-doubt still lingered in the back of her mind. That evening, she decided to visit Mr. Thompson at the park. She found him on his usual bench, watching the birds flit between the trees. When he saw her approaching, he smiled warmly. "Emily, I was wondering when you'd stop by." She sat beside him and let out a long sigh. "I got the scholarship, Mr. Thompson, but I'm scared." His eyes twinkled with understanding. "Scared of what, my dear?" She hesitated before answering. "Scared that I won't live up to their expectations. That I won't be good enough." Mr. Thompson chuckled. "Ah, the fear of the unknown. I know it well. But let me tell you something. Every great journey begins with doubt. What matters is how you move forward despite it." Emily looked down, fiddling with the corner of her sweater. "I just don't want to disappoint anyone." Mr. Thompson leaned in slightly. "Do you remember why you helped me that day in the grocery store?" She nodded. "Because it was the right thing to do." "Exactly," he said. "You didn't think about whether you'd succeed or fail. You just acted with kindness. And look where it's brought you." Emily let his words sink in. He was right. If she approached this opportunity the same way, with kindness, hard work, and an open heart, she would find her way. A week later, Emily attended her first official scholarship orientation. She walked into the building with a nervous flutter in her stomach, but she quickly realized she wasn't alone. Several other students were gathered, chatting excitedly. They all looked as nervous as she felt. Mr. Reynolds stood at the front of the room, smiling as he addressed the group. "Welcome, everyone. You are here because you have shown something extraordinary: compassion, determination, and the ability to change lives with even the smallest gestures. We are honored to help you take the next steps in your journey." Emily sat up a little straighter, feeling a newfound sense of belonging. Throughout the orientation, she listened to speakers, met fellow scholars, and learned about the mentorship program she would be part of. One student, a boy named Daniel, introduced himself to her during a break. "I heard your story," he said. "It's pretty amazing." Emily smiled. "Thanks. I still can't believe I'm here." He nodded. "Me neither. But I guess we both did something right." By the end of the day, Emily felt lighter. The doubt hadn't completely vanished, but it had been replaced with something stronger: determination. She knew that this opportunity wasn't just about her future. It was about carrying forward the kindness that had set everything in motion. That night, she called Mr. Thompson to tell him about the orientation. "It was incredible," she said. "I met so many great people. I think I'm really ready for this." Mr. Thompson's voice was full of warmth. "I never had any doubt, Emily. This is only the beginning. And I have a feeling that your journey is going to inspire even more people along the way." As Emily lay in bed that night, she thought about all the small moments that had led her here. A simple trip to the grocery store. A kind gesture. A conversation on a park bench. She smiled to herself. Mr. Thompson was right. This was only the beginning. And she couldn't wait to see where the road ahead would take her. The days following Emily's scholarship orientation were filled with anticipation and preparation. Her schedule became packed with meetings, workshops, and networking events, each one revealing new possibilities. Though she was still adjusting to this new chapter, she reminded herself daily of Mr. Thompson's words, "Move forward despite the doubt." One evening, as she sat at the kitchen table finishing an assignment for her scholarship program, her father entered the room. "Emily," he said, placing a letter in front of her. "This came for you." Curious, she picked it up and saw the official seal of the scholarship board. Her heart pounded as she opened the envelope and read the neatly printed words inside. "Dear Emily, we are pleased to inform you that you have been selected for a mentorship opportunity with one of our esteemed partners. This program will allow you to work alongside professionals in your chosen field, gaining valuable experience and guidance." Emily gasped. "Dad, this is incredible." Her father grinned. "I knew you'd make the most of this. So, what's the next step?" She scanned the letter again. "I have to attend an introductory meeting at the mentorship office next week. They'll pair me with a mentor." Her mother, who had been listening from the doorway, clapped her hands together. "Emily, this is amazing. Do you know what field you'll be working in?" Emily hesitated, then smiled. "I think I want to work with kids. Maybe teaching, maybe something in community work. I want to give back the way people have given to me." Her parents exchanged proud glances. "That sounds perfect for you," her mother said. The following week, Emily arrived at the mentorship office, feeling both nervous and excited. She was led to a conference room where other scholarship recipients were gathered. Mr. Reynolds stood at the front of the room, greeting them with his usual warmth. "Today," he announced, "you'll be meeting your mentors, people who have dedicated their lives to making a difference. They were once in your shoes and now they're here to guide you." As the introductions began, Emily listened to the stories of professionals who had overcome struggles, found their passion, and dedicated their careers to helping others. When her turn came, she was introduced to Ms. Anderson, a woman in her late 40s with kind eyes and an encouraging smile. "Emily, it's wonderful to meet you," she said. "I run a youth outreach program that helps underprivileged children with education and emotional support. I think you'll be a great fit." Emily's eyes lit up. "That sounds incredible. I'd love to help." Over the next few weeks, Emily worked closely with Ms. Anderson, visiting community centers, assisting with after-school programs, and mentoring younger students. She quickly realized that she wasn't just gaining experience, she was making a difference. One day, as she sat with a young girl named Lily, helping her with reading, she saw the same uncertainty in the child's eyes that she had once felt in herself. "You're doing great, Lily," she encouraged. "You just have to believe in yourself." The little girl looked up at her. "You really think so?" Emily smiled. "I know so." That night, as she reflected on her journey, she thought of Mr. Thompson. She decided to visit him the next day and share everything she had experienced so far. When she arrived at the park, he was sitting on his usual bench, watching the birds as he always did. "Mr. Thompson," she called, rushing over. "I have so much to tell you." The old man chuckled. "I was hoping you'd visit soon." She sat beside him and told him about the mentorship program, her work with Ms. Anderson, and the children she had met. As she spoke, his eyes filled with pride. "You found your calling, haven't you?" he asked gently. Emily nodded. "I think I have. And it all started with that one day in the grocery store." Mr. Thompson smiled. "Kindness is a seed, Emily. You planted one that day, and now, look at how it's growing." As she sat beside him, the sun setting behind them, she realized something important. Her journey was just beginning, but she was exactly where she was meant to be. The weeks following Emily's mentorship placement were a whirlwind of activity. Each day brought new challenges, but also immense joy. She had grown close to Ms. Anderson and the children she worked with, especially Lily, the little girl she had been helping with reading. The work was more than just a job or an assignment. It was a calling. One afternoon, Ms. Anderson pulled Emily aside after a long day at the community center. "Emily, I have something to tell you," she said, her tone warm yet serious. Emily's heart skipped a beat. "Is everything okay?" Ms. Anderson smiled. "More than okay. I recommended you for an internship with a major nonprofit organization focused on youth education. They're interested in meeting you." Emily's eyes widened. "Wait me? But I'm just getting started." Ms. Anderson shook her head. "That's exactly why they want to meet you. You have a natural gift for this, Emily. You inspire these kids, and that's something no degree or experience can teach." Emily was overwhelmed with emotion. She had never thought of herself as someone who could make a lasting impact. But here she was, being recognized for the very thing she loved doing the most. That evening, she rushed home to tell her parents. They were thrilled beyond words. "You keep proving that kindness leads to opportunities, sweetheart," her mother said, hugging her tightly. A few days later, Emily found herself standing outside the office of the nonprofit organization. The building was modern yet welcoming, filled with colorful murals painted by children. As she walked inside, she felt a deep sense of purpose. A receptionist led her to a conference room where two executives, Mr. Carter and Ms. Lopez, greeted her warmly. "Emily, we've heard wonderful things about you," Mr. Carter said. "Tell us, why do you want to work with children?" Emily took a deep breath. "Because I know what it's like to need someone to believe in you. A small act of kindness changed my life. I want to be that change for someone else." Ms. Lopez nodded approvingly. "That's exactly the kind of passion we look for." After discussing the role and her experiences, they offered her the internship on the spot. Emily was speechless. She had expected an interview. She hadn't expected an immediate offer. I don't know what to say," she stammered. "Say yes," Mr. Carter chuckled. "Yes," she said, laughing through happy tears. The moment she stepped out of the building, she called Mr. Thompson. "I got an internship with a nonprofit for youth education," she announced excitedly. The old man chuckled warmly. "I knew you would, Emily. The world needs more hearts like yours." As she sat on a nearby bench, watching children play in a nearby park, she realized that her journey was unfolding in ways she never imagined. And to think, it had all started with one small act of kindness. Emily's internship at the nonprofit quickly became more than just an opportunity, it was a mission. She poured her heart into her work, helping children find confidence in themselves, just as she once had. Every day brought new lessons, new faces, and a deeper understanding of how kindness could shape the world. One afternoon, as Emily finished helping Lily with a reading exercise, Ms. Lopez approached her with a thoughtful expression. "Emily, we've been watching the way you connect with these kids," she said. "We'd love to extend your internship into a paid position once you graduate high school." Emily's heart nearly stopped. "A paid position?" she repeated, barely believing what she was hearing. Ms. Lopez smiled. "You have a gift, and we don't want to lose you." Tears welled in Emily's eyes. "I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Ms. Lopez said warmly. Emily laughed through her happy tears. "Yes, absolutely yes." That evening, she rushed home to tell her parents the good news. They embraced her tightly, overwhelmed with pride. "You're building something amazing for yourself," her father said. "And all because you chose to be kind to a stranger." As the months went by, Emily continued to thrive in her new role. She balanced school, work, and her growing sense of purpose. The children she mentored grew more confident, and she saw firsthand how even the smallest encouragement could change a life. One afternoon, she visited the park to meet Mr. Thompson, just as she had so many times before. When she arrived, he was sitting on the same bench, watching the birds as usual. But this time, there was something different in his expression, something softer, more reflective. "I have something for you," he said, pulling a small envelope from his pocket. Curious, Emily opened it. Inside was a handwritten letter. "Dear Emily, from the moment you showed kindness to an old man in the grocery store, you started something bigger than you knew. You reminded me that hope still exists, that goodness is never lost. You didn't just change your own life, you changed mine and so many others. Enclosed is a small contribution toward your future. Use it however you see fit, and never stop being the person you are. With love, Mr. Thompson." Emily's hands trembled as she pulled out a check, an amount large enough to cover her first year of college tuition. She gasped. "Mr. Thompson, I can't accept this." Yes, you can, he said firmly. Because this is what kindness does. It comes full circle. Tears spilled down her cheeks as she hugged him tightly. Thank you, she whispered. The sun dipped lower in the sky as they sat together, watching the world move around them. Emily thought about how one small moment in a grocery store had set everything in motion. She had helped an old man, and in turn had been given a path she never expected. As she looked toward the future, she knew one thing for certain: she would spend the rest of her life passing on that kindness, ensuring that the ripples never stopped. Because kindness, she now understood, was the gift that kept on giving. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, be sure to check out more of our videos. We have plenty of inspiring and powerful stories waiting for you. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.